I'm starting to work on the little window section where the number counter goes. The 3D printed version that was sent to me came with a little number counter, which is a part of the electronic kits that you can get to put into them that sort of cycle through the numbers and add sound effects and that sort of thing. I've decided with mine that I'm not really interested in putting in the sound effects. I just want to be able to have it set up in such a way that when the magazine's put into place, the numbers just light up to 95. And for the sake of display, I'm not really worried about sort of pushing the trigger and making it go through any sort of countdown factor. So rather than use this one, which for better terms is a real one, I'm going to make one up. If you watch my videos on a regular basis, you know I'm a collector of junk bits and pieces, and one of the bits I've collected in the past is this piece, and that's a display and control panel out of an old treadmill, and you can see that the numbers that we've got here are very close to what we're after. The physical size of them is pretty much the same. The only problem with them is that obviously we've got 3 numbers here where we need 2, and there's a little decimal point in place that we don't really need either. The other obvious thing is that if I was just to backlight display those at the moment, I'd have an 88 or a 888, and what we're really after is that 95 number. So you can see that I've already cut one out there in preparation for doing this. And these counter pieces are essentially just a piece of plastic that's on the front, and it's fused to a lighting arrangement that's built into the electronics of it, so that when it gets the appropriate signal, the numbers illuminate. So all I've done is to cut that piece out, slice off the back section of it that I don't need, so that I can retain the front piece, and then I've just trimmed it down to 2 numbers instead of the 3. To get rid of the decimal places and to get the 95 arrangement that I need, I've simply just put some black paint on the appropriate spots that cover up the bits that I don't want to see. But that paint will also let a very small amount of light through so that we still get that proper effect when the numbers have lit up. Beyond that, I've got some red opaque perspex. This is the same sort of stuff that I use for the navigational lights on the Martian fighting machine, so that it acts as a diffuser for the light. And then on the front section, I've got another piece of perspex type stuff. This is a shock resistant acrylic of some type. Again, this is just a small piece that I've reclaimed from a broken LED TV and just represents the last protective element that they put on the screen when they're building those TVs. And I'll sandwich that all together so that I've got a protective piece for the numbers there as well. I've cut out a piece of metal in preparation for making up this piece. I've got the window there, it's pretty close to the right size, it's not quite right because I want to get that piece of perspex to be a tight fit in there. I've gone over the surface of it with a 1000 grit sandpaper just to cut back some of that sheen that's on the surface. That's the sanded side as opposed to the unsanded side, which just makes the numbers a little bit more visible when it's sort of viewed at an angle as well. You can see the sheen that's across the surface there. If I flip that around, you can see how it picks up that reflection a lot more, and it tends to block the numbers a little bit, as opposed to the side that's been sanded down a bit. So I've milled out the cutaway area that I need for the number counter, and I'm just filing it out so that the fit is as snug as I can get it. Because I've got that other cover plate piece to go over it with the other clear window in it, as I've been filing away at this, I've put an internal bevel that matches what I've done with the plastic bit so that it can't push all the way through, and that allows it now to actually sit down there so that it's flush to the surface of the metal. And then that little window piece just goes over the top of the numbers, and that'll be attached in place so that it protects the numbers. You can see there on the opposite side how that red perspex put in place, so it's only going to be a matter of mounting some LEDs that go over the top of that, and you can see there now with the light shining through, those numbers come up quite nicely. So having all that done means that I've now been able to start casting these pieces up, and that's what I've got there so far. So you can see that's just the raw casting. But even as rough as that is there now, you can already see that it's picked up a lot more of that inside detail that I had to previously mill out on this one. The difference is I will still have to go over this lightly to smooth it back out in a couple of places, but nowhere near to the extent that I had to do when I did these ones up. So that now leaves me with the completed sets that will allow me to work on both of them simultaneously now, and I can start refining the details from one to the other. I'm going to take a small break away from these at the moment, just because it's feeling a little bit daunting. I want to feel like I'm getting ahead with something rather than just chasing the tail all the time. I'm staying within the project and I'm going to be moving over to this. These are a couple of the pump action grenade pieces that have been made up. This one has been done as a 3D print, and this is one that's been done, somebody's made this one up on a lathe by the look of it. This is just a solid piece of bar stock aluminium that's been turned down to shape and it's had the necessary crimping and stuff put into it, but it's otherwise just a solid piece. This one looks like it's been made up of a couple of individual pieces and glued together because it's got the spring action piece. There's a spring system in there, and then it looks like it's all been glued together and painted. What I'm going to try and do is an amalgamation of the both. I'm going to try and make one that's made from aluminium but still has a working spring-loaded element. I'm also going to add a brass cap into the end of it instead of just having all the one metal, so it's a closer representation of the movie accurate ones. The other thing you can probably see here is that there's a slight size difference in terms of length. I'm going to check my measurements on that because I think the metal one is more accurate. And like I did when I made up the bullets for the Hellboy project, I want to try and standardise what I'm doing with this so that I can make up multiple versions of them and they all sort of match within the same sort of parameters. So that's what I'll be tackling in the next video. But that'll be the update for this time, guys. Thanks for watching. Talk to you next time.